Kia ora, bros and girls, welcome back to the channel. Today we take on Uncollected, Nameless, Thanos in the final map of Avengers Forever. This guy's an absolute beast, man, and I'm sure you've seen some videos out there already. There are some known MVPs, obviously Hyperion, High Level Blade with the villain synergy, at least for the first couple of phases, and then you can kind of work around the last phase, but basically he breaks up into 4 phases, and we're going to talk through as we fight through them. So the first one is above 95. Above 95, he's just normal Thanos. He actually doesn't gain any power. He starts gaining a bar of power kind of per phase. So at this moment, it's just about parrying it, hitting him, and then you really kind of want to save up your power for this next phase, because in the next phase he has thorns, and the only way to disable that is to cast a special attack or to heavy attack him. So if you have someone with a fast heavy, you know, that works, but I tend to like perma-stunners for this, or power gainers. So that's kind of obviously why Hyperion and Blade are a great fit, because Blade you just kind of parry, draw that bleed in, that gives you the power gain, and you can just continually cycle that SP1. Mordo and Hyperion are the same. You just kind of hold back, gain power, and cast a special. You disable the thorns, and then until he casts a special, that thorns is completely disabled. So what I like to do is I'll wait for him to cast his special, then I'll intercept him with mine, and then I just go to town on him until he casts his next one. I'll save mine here. Now I've disabled it. You can see there it goes from orange to gray in the top right, and then I go back to town. And I save my power. I'm not going to use my specials here until he uses his. Evade his heavy, get back in, and I'm just trying to build up here. There is actually another video as well, I think, of Cole Whale one-shotting this guy with Aegon. He does it though with a Heimdall synergy. I don't have Heimdall, and so I've tried to do as best a build as I can. I thought Gwenpool would be useful because she can tank SP3s. I'm lucky enough to have a 6-star Thor Ragnarok, which will hopefully come in handy because he's an Avenger, and so he might get me through that final phase. So we're getting pretty close here to dropping him below 65, and then going into the next phase. And the next phase is quite reminiscent of the original Thanos endgame kind of one, the first Uncollected Thanos, in that he has these missiles that he'll throw at you, and these missiles that he throws at you, there's 6 of them. There's kind of 2 waves of 3, and 2 of them are illusions and 1 of them is real. And the 1 of them that is real is bright, but it changes every time, so there's no specific timing to how to evade it. You just got to figure out which one is coming, which one it is, and then evade there. Luckily there's enough time for you to react, but this fight anyway is going to need a lot of practice. I mean, I think it took me probably a good 40-50 attempts to get to this attempt here that we're recording. So now he goes into Ruthless Pandemonium, and this Ruthless Pandemonium is when he has that SP2 with the illusions, but also he has inverted controls. Now it's very important that as you drop into this phase, when the cutscene comes up, that you swipe back on your mobile or your iPad so you can dash into him. And once you swipe back and you dash into him, because the controls are inverted, you swipe back, you're going to dash into him to begin your attack, and then you want to finish your combo with a light hit, not a medium, because that will then disable the inverted controls. Now if you want to be really fancy, you can switch it around and just play the inverted controls, because I think you get a bit of an attack bonus as well if you do that. But I tend to like to just get rid of the inverted controls as soon as I can by intercepting, going in with the light attacks, and then you're back again. So I'm going forward, and then I'm going to go back into him and do 4 hits. So forward will actually dexterity for you. So you're forwarding into the blast, which will evade the blast. You're forwarding again into the second blast, so you're evading that blast. And then after the 2 waves, you swipe back to go into Thanos, and then you finish off with a 5-hit light combo. And so I'm building here, and I'm starting to gain some really good damage. The problem with Thanos, I mess up there pretty close to 30. So the problem there is, as well, as he drops below 40% life, he becomes stun immune for the next couple of phases. So it starts getting a little bit more tricky. So that was one thing. I lost my train of thought, but yeah, so you can kind of, as you build up, sorry, that's right. In this phase as well, I think he's got kind of like a shielding, so that he only really takes 0.5% of damage every time. So it's gonna be a long fight getting him from 65 to 30, no matter how much DPS you're doing, because your damage is limited. He's got a cap of damage that he will take per hit. Doesn't matter if you do, 20,000 damage a hit, he can only take so much, which is basically 0.5% of life. And so that phase is really, really slow, and it's all about just endurance, staying in it as long as you can, and it's about getting that combo meter going, getting it up, and just continuing to build in. And what you really want to do is you want to drop him into the 30% phase. The 30% phase, which is the final one, is the most difficult phase. So once you get here, it's a little bit hit and miss, it's a little bit luck of the mill. There is skill involved. There's obviously great matchups. If you have a high level Gwenpool, she can tank SP3s. If you have some high level Avengers as well, they can tank SP3s. But this part is all about extending the fight as much as you can, getting to the SP3, intercepting as well as you can, and the longer the fight goes, the more damage you're gonna do. So the way this phase works is Uncollected Thanos will give you armor breaks. The nearer you are to him, the more armor breaks that you're gonna get, and the quicker, right? His SP3, if you intercept him, you've got a safeguard and you only lose a certain percent of life. If you're an Avenger, you lose even less. So you want to really be an Avenger and intercept, so you can tank as many SP3s as you possibly can, all the while that armor break is building up. As that armor break builds up, 10, 15 and above, you start getting into, as soon as you intercept, you've got kind of like 1 or 2 seconds to throw off an attack, and the armor break transfers from you to Thanos. So you're gonna see it here with my Thor Ragnarok. It's gonna transfer, and what I want to do is when that transfers, I want to throw the SP3 for maximum damage. So the longer you can last in this fight, the more damage you can end up doing. So I've intercepted here. He's gonna cast the SP3, which is fine. I lose 15% from 92 to 77. He goes unstoppable, but I wouldn't worry about that. If you can intercept him, it removes the unstoppable as well as gives you the safeguard. Now what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to get to my SP3, and I'm also, if he gets to his SP3 and he's blocking, I'm also going to try to do a 4 light hit combo before backing off, because I want to extend as much as I can the timer, the armor break build-ups, because then when I start to do damage, it's going to be a lot. So I intercept him here, I throw an SP3, and you can see there it's like 25,000 damage. We intercept again, so we got another safeguard, and I'm just going to go in here, try to get to the SP3. He's probably going to throw his again. So now I'm above 20, I'm above 22 armor breaks. So if I can throw another SP3 here, it will be pretty devastating, but it's you have to be quite brave to be able to get the block. So there we go, we got the intercept, and I'm going to throw another one. and that's good. So far I've been able to last maybe 4 of his specials, and I've been able to throw 2 or 3 of my own, and you can see there it does some 45,000 damage, and we're getting him down to pretty close, and that armor break is still going up. It's going up to 32. So at this point, if I had played perfectly and been able to throw one more SP3, he would have been done, and this would have been um, a no revive finish. But then this is where we get into the tricky part. So if you're coming in and you've got that momentum and you have a good run, you could do a lot of damage. But if not, it can be quite painful, as you'll see. I get to this point with basically no revives, and then I mess up several times. I'm just gonna let the video play and show you some of my mistakes, but in this one I'm actually doing okay. I get the safeguard, I get the intercept. There's 10 armor breaks, so all I really need to do is just try to intercept him once and throw the SP3. I don't quite get to the SP3, and he kills me. Hyperion would be good for this one as well, I think, for this particular phase. But I mean, really, I like any Avenger. Any high level Avenger would be good. Um, One of the synergies that would really help here, especially if you have these champs, would be the Hulk Thor synergy. So if you have a high level Hulk, the lower life he gets, the more damage he can do through the specials. At this point, I'm just going through and trying to get some revives and some heals. But if you have a Hulk, the lower life he does, the more damage he does on his specials with that Hulk smash. That's one of his abilities. But if you pair him up with a Thor or Thor Ragnarok, before he dies he also gets an indestructible for 5 seconds. And if you pair that up with the Heimdall synergy, he gets another indestructible to save him from death. So you get 2 cheat death, plus the fact that he's an Avenger, plus the safeguard. The other nuance in here is that an Avenger, after lasting 10 seconds in the fight, turns the class advantage. So you get the class advantage against Thanos, which means you can do even more damage. So if you had a high level Hulk Thor, I think Hulk would be amazing for this third phase, because you would be able to build up, you'd be able to last through the armor breaks. Just through the 2 double cheat death, you'd probably get to 10, 15 armor breaks, and if you can just intercept once and throw a special, that's going to help you. And it doesn't matter if you die, because if you revive once, you still get two times the cheat death, right? Which is much better than, say, with me reviving and trying to heal Thor Ragnarok, and then if I have a bad run, like I've had several here, then it just doesn't work. Now, I would not recommend you also throw any SP1s or SP2s in this particular phase, like even if you intercept, because by the time you throw it, you're not going to do that much damage. You really want to lock in that SP3. And yeah, it's kind of risky, because if you hit into his block, or if you mistime the intercept, don't get the unstop, and you don't quite get it, you get messed up by the unstoppable, then it's basically game over. This phase becomes kind of like it's a sink or swim type of fight. You either have a really good run, or you have a terrible run. So I think I revive here a few more times. I do get him in the end, but yeah, I mean, this was really painful, this particular part. But I think if you can get him down to under 30, like deep under 30 in one run, I would highly recommend at that point that you start using your items, because it's pretty easy with practice to get him to 30%. And to be fair, with enough tries and a little bit of luck, you could probably get him down to 15% or 20% in the first go, and then you might just have to eke out the last little bit using revives. So this one starts off looking like a better run. I get the safeguard. I've got a few armor breaks on him. I'm nearly at my SP3, but then I missed the intercept, and it's game over. So you have to play this phase absolutely perfectly. And there's examples out there. The only reason I've put this on here is because, you know, I just wanted to show how many revives and how many pots and stuff I actually did use, and show that even if you have such a really good run to begin with, that you still might have to waste a bit of time on this fight. I tried to use Gwenpool here because I thought I changed focus. I was like, okay, well, Thor Ragnarok's not really doing it for me. I'll try to use Gwenpool because she can tank the SP3s. But I found that at some point you're probably going to have to take a couple of hits as well, and Thor was a lot more tank for it. He also did a lot more damage for me because my Gwenpool is not it's not a 5-star. She's a max rank 4-star, which I specifically took up to maximum rank just for this fight. And at the end of it, I found out that, you know, that was probably a little bit of a waste. I probably didn't really need that, or maybe I'm just not that good enough with her. Maybe I haven't had enough practice with Gwenpool. This one starts off okay. I get the safeguard. I'm back to full life. He's down below 10%, so he's also in assassin range. Now I've got the class advantage, and I'm sitting here pretty close to the SP3. So I can't remember if this is the one where I eventually take him, but I remember getting very, very close a couple of times and getting frustrated by this Thanos. And this phase is frustrating. You just have to be patient and ear it out. So here I'm trying to get in. I just managed to. Gonna throw the SP3. Once again, I'm like 1% life from, you know, this being an absolute wasted attempt. And again, he intercepts me and is gone. But now he's down to 4%, and you have to go for it. I can't back out now. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna spend as many revives as I need to take him out. So yeah, hopefully all these little things or all these little experiences help you out, and you can watch the fights and you can see kind of what worked pretty well, what didn't work pretty well. I tried a whole bunch of different champ setups. I do think, I mean, there are videos out there of people doing it with 4-stars, with especially with Hyperion and Blade. I definitely found that if you have no other option, 4-star Blade, a 4-star max Blade with max signature levels can go pretty far in this fight. You do have to play a little bit perfectly, but he can get you through the first couple of phases. The only reason I switched to Aegon is because I was experimenting with Blade and I was experimenting with Aegon, and for me, I could go further with Aegon on a mediocre attempt or a slightly above average attempt than with Blade at the same time. I could get pretty far with Blade, but I would basically have to play absolutely perfectly, whereas Aegon, I mean, I could get him down to 80% consistently without even trying, and then it started getting a little bit more complex. But yeah, this fight is all about just practice, 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 and you are, unfortunately, unless you're like Coal, you're probably going to need some revives for this fight. And health pots, right? So if you don't, you can go farm them in just your normal daily quests, or Realm of Legends will farm you a lot of pots. But yeah, you're definitely going to need that kind of stuff to get through here. It's not one of these boss fights where, unless you have a cheat death, a synergy, it's not one of these fights where you just revive to 40% and then you go back in. You really want to revive and fully heal, because um, because you need to extend the fight as long as you possibly can, and it only takes one missed intercept, one dash into an unstoppable, missing a safeguard before he gets to SP3, and it's over for you. So yeah, good luck. I think I think I end up using like 12 revives at the end, and I get really frustrated. I'm spending money on potions. I actually run out all my potions and basically all my revives on this guy. And at this point, I had a fairly decent stash. But let's see, this might actually be the one where I take him down. So we got the safeguard. It looks okay. I'm building up. He's about to get this SP3. I've got the class advantage. I'm heading into the block. I'll take that, I'll tank it, that's fine, I get 15%. Hopefully I intercept him correctly here. And not quite. Not quite. So then we revive again. You can see my stash kind of deplete. I kind of start off around like the 1500 mark units wise. And thankfully, I've been grinding arena a lot lately to get units and to get also to get to that featured thing. I haven't managed to get him yet, but that's kind of why I've been having a lot of units. I've also been trying to farm for the 12k offer, so when I do finish Act 6, I can buy that rank up gem. But yeah, this definitely didn't do me any good, didn't do me any help, to be honest. And yeah, here we go. We get the intercept. It's a 3%. Sorry about that. I get a little bit excited, and I'm looking for one more intercept. This is gonna be really tight because it's gonna take me down to 3%. I'm gonna need to throw this intercept, or I'm not gonna be able to do it. I'm waiting. I get the intercept. I throw the SP3. That should do it. And there it is. And finally, there's a big sigh of relief. I've been like working on this, for about maybe 4 or 5 days straight, just constantly 9 energy going in, 9 energy going in, trying different teams, trying the different setups. I did find actually Wasp works also pretty good for the first phase. I have a 6-star Wasp, and because she ends with her heavy interrupts the thorns. So depending on how you time it, you can kind of, yeah, keep it disabled, and she does a lot of damage, so you can cut through that first phase really quickly too. But yeah, hopefully this helped you guys. It was an absolute relief for me to complete this. And yeah, if it did, like, subscribe, leave a comment. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Ka kite ano, bros and girls.